We as college students have an extreme advantage here on campus. We live in a bubble. Everywhere you go, we're surrounded by people in their late teens and early 20s, other students who are living parallel lives to us. There are gray areas between class and leisure. People study, quote unquote, in groups, even if that's just an excuse to see their friends. People go out in the evenings, they join other on-campus organizations, all to find community. There's no distinct break between when school and individual life stops. But what about after college? In the real world post-university, most of us are forced into the box of working to survive and make money. You have your 9-to-5 job, then you go home, wake up, rinse, and repeat. There's a clear line of when your workday stops and when your personal life begins. But what if there was a gray area even after college? That's where the term third places comes into play. According to Oldenbergs, an urban sociologist and author of the book The Great Good Place, who coined the term third places lend a public balance to the increased privatization of home life. Third places are nothing more than informal public gathering spaces. The phrase third places derives from considering our homes to be the first places in our lives and our workplaces to be the second. The first place is work and the second place is our homes. The third place is the ideal gray area that we currently take for granted as college students. During my time abroad, I realized the importance of third places as a safe space when adjusting to a new city. Oldenberg defines third places with 8 characteristics. Number 1, neutral ground. No one feels a sense of obligation to be there, and they're not tied down in any way to that location. Number 2, leveler. The place puts no importance on an individual's place in society. And number 3, conversation is the main activity. Number 4, accessibility and accommodation. It should be accessible to those who want to visit that place and accommodate their needs. Number 5, the regulars. The regulars give the third place space a tone and welcome in any newcomers. Number 6, the low profile. It's generally more wholesome and cozier. Number 7, the mood is playful and there's never really any tension or hostility. And then lastly, 8 is it's kind of known as like a home away from home. Some examples of third places are cafes, bars, public parks, community centers, bookstores, and churches. In pop culture, one really distinct example of a third place is Central Perk from the show Friends. All the friends hang out there and they don't really have a sense of obligation to be there, and they mostly go there to find community and hang out with one another. So for me, my experience abroad in Paris highlighted the abundance of third places within a city and the alignment within certain European cultural values that those third places hold. Cities like Paris tend to be saturated with tourist traps and overpriced experiences, though there were still pockets within the city that met Oldenberg's 8 criteria. For example, certain public parks in Paris are called quote-unquote gardens, though they certainly aren't what we think of when we hear that word. Unlike the botanical gardens that we kind of expect to see here in the US, these gardens were solely dedicated to conversation and being wholly present in the moment. My favorite third place, that was my own personal safe space, was Jardin du Luxembourg, or the Luxembourg Gardens. There's kind of a main fountain surrounded by chairs, greenery, and a couple city buildings, though most of the garden was just gravel and chairs for occupants to chat. It felt like my space to kind of just take a deep breath and have my own time to adjust to the sounds of a new city. It also felt like a time capsule into the past. The majority of parkgoers were chatting or reading rather than scrolling on their phones. Another one of my favorite places was Place de Vosges. With my school located in the Marais, the plaza was a place for my roommates and I to relax between classes. And at the end of the semester, we gathered for one last picnic to kind of enjoy and reflect on the semester. Conversation was the main occasion, and over time, we kind of became regulars at the spot, and we even recognized some, other regulars, old and even new faces. Another third place was the cinema club that I would attend every Friday with my friends, and things like the Jardin Tuileries located by a couple of the museums in Paris. This seems like such an obvious observation, though. In the United States, we have all these same things. We have public parks, we have cafes, we even have, YMCA community centers. But why aren't they hitting the same way? Even though I've had the privilege of being in the college campus bubble, the third places in the United States just don't strike the same chord as that in Paris or even other European cities that I had the chance to visit. The culture of several European cities is why. I also had the chance to visit Barcelona and Madrid, and what I observed in Paris and the Spanish cities was the work-to-live mentality in Europe versus the live-to-work mentality that we see in the United States. People find more fulfillment outside their occupation in Europe, and the hustle culture mentality is just less apparent. People find the time for leisure and understand the importance of kind of taking every moment as it comes. They take the moment to pause, to reflect, and to talk, and the space they choose to do that is a third place. Parisians understood the importance of a third place and thus kept the tone of relaxation within these areas. There's no sense of rushing or trying to cram in one last productive task. In Parisian cafes, no one is ever studying or trying to do work, and bringing in a laptop to these coffee shops, that's extremely frowned upon. The place where people go to study would be an academic library, not like a cafe. For me, those Parisian third spaces were a chance to reflect upon my own new experience in a foreign country as an outsider who really had no experience living in Paris, living in a European city, or even speaking the language of the people around me. It was a chance to learn and understand the pace of living in Paris, to people watch, and to observe how others valued the present and to be in the moment and learn from them. Whether it was chatting with my roommates and friends about our newfound memories in the Luxembourg Gardens or finding community at a local Parisian cinema club, I was able to find a safe space amongst these third places that helped me find my niche in a really stimulating new city. The United States is short of these safe spaces. In non-urban areas, there's a lack of gray area between work and life, and thus a lack of community and reflection. In urban areas, there are third places, though are they genuine? The United States' constant productivity mindset has polluted the sense of community and true appreciation of these safe spaces. But why does that even matter? Why are the authenticity of these spaces even important? Well, the answer is that third places provide a space to foster genuine community and improve one's overall quality of life. According to Professor Anna V. Rue, a professor of epidemiology at Drexel University and director of the Drexel Urban Health Collective, focusing on mundane, ordinary third places essential to everyday life may be a critical next step to develop more effective interventions that reduce health disparities and improve quality of life. The integration of geography, public health, and civic planning can cultivate third places that are essential to daily routines in vibrant, supportive, connected communities. They are places that level out individuals on a multidimensional level. It's crucial to understand that the disparities that individuals in a community face in order to continuously fuel democracy and maintain civic efficacy. Oldenberg adds this by saying that third places provide the foundation for a functioning democracy. These spaces promote social equity by leveling the status of guests, providing a setting for grassroots politics, creating habits of public association, and offering psychological support to individuals and communities. Now, more than ever, are third places important. The COVID-19 pandemic has since merged the two places of home and work into one, eliminating the sense of home that some may have originally felt. The inherent aspects of European culture made third places more authentic, and I had the immense privilege of reaping those benefits and experiencing the differences. Now that I'm back in the United States, I understand the importance not only of the authenticity, but the preservation of these spaces for the community that surrounds them.